And now, here's the next edition of Applied Common Sense.
I'm Dr. Mitchell Perry, and today's topic is reinforcement, catching people doing something right. Now, my guess is you probably like to be told what you're doing right. I know I do. However, if you think about your family or you think about your work environment, very often there are three ways in which you can find out how well you're doing. Those three ways of getting feedback are criticism, silence, and reinforcement. However, your family, if you're like most families, and your work environment, like most of them, are really brilliant at two: criticism and silence. As a matter of fact, we often reinforce silence by saying no news is good news. And yet, so often in marriages, families, and workplace environments, you'll notice that people are starving to find out how well they're doing. And as a matter of fact, you probably believe that reinforcement is very good. If you have elementary school children, you'll notice what happens often when they come home from school. Your son will come home with a painting he did, and he will look at you, and he will say, look what I did, look. Now, think about it. Sometimes you'll look at that painting and you'll say to yourself, what in the heck is that? Do you say to your son, what in the heck is that? Do you say that? No. If you're like most parents, you say, oh, that's wonderful, good for you, tell me about it. Now, if you think about why you say that's wonderful, good for you, it's because you want your son to feel good about what he did. You want your son to be creative. In this particular case, your son is showing creative behavior, and you think, well, if I reinforce that behavior, then I will get more out of it from my son. If you reinforce the behavior you're looking for, you're going to get more of it. And so if it's true for your children, it's true for everybody. So in work or at home, make a point of telling people what they're doing right. The research now shows that in marriages, for example, or families, if you have a 5-to-1 ratio between reinforcement and criticism, you're going to have a by far more functional family arrangement. Tell your spouse what your spouse is doing right. Tell your children what they're doing right. Make a point of increasing the frequency of telling them what they're doing right, and they will shine. The whole idea is to have more frequency of reinforcement than criticism or silence. When you do that, you build a capitalizing on strengths environment, and people feel by far better and want to achieve more. I'm Dr. Mitchell Perry, and that's today's edition of Applied Common Sense.